Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explained series. I'm Kushagra Goel, and as the winter descends upon us, it becomes even more important for you all to be consistent with regards to your preparation, okay? Now with regards to doubts from yesterday, there is one generic doubt and there are two specific ones, okay? The specific ones regarding sanctions on Turkey and with regards to the editorial yesterday, specifically agro and agri meaning, okay? These two doubts I'll explain when we'll do the in-depth analysis, so stay tuned, wait a little for that, okay? Now with regards to a general doubt about how to make notes, right? How to be consistent with regards to your making notes. So see, the series is actually breaking down for you all as to what headings you have to put in what information. Whenever you are watching the video, simultaneously keep your notebook open. As I am speaking, make notes of those things within the headings. Every day I do also tell you under what heading this particular news is. And with regards to how to make notes in general, I have made a specific video for that about note making, under which I have explained the vertical method and the mind map, right? Under the mind map, then you can put in details, for example, about the farm bills, right? Different farm bills, how they are being implemented, or what are the contentions, different boxes you can make to keep a track of updated things, okay? And how to be consistent. See, on daily basis we are anyway covering what is the most important topic, so it becomes paramount for you all to make notes when as and when I am telling you, okay? If there are certain news, for example, about general news which I don't analyze in depth, okay, hear it if it is in relation to something that we have talked about previously, for example the US elections or vaccines, right? So there, turn over the page, pause the video, make a note of that there, add a heading there or a pointer there and move on, play the video again. The beauty of doing it not live but recorded is so that whenever you are missing out on making notes, you can pause the video and make notes and then move on to the next topic. We are also making chapterization within the videos, right? So if it is something that you have missed out, something that you want to add, go back to those specific chapters, go back to those doubts that I have clarified and make notes there, okay? Don't rush, watch the entire video, then decide upon making notes. That is just duplicating your task, okay? This is also what I tell when you're reading the newspaper. Read it along with the video. Don't waste time reading the newspaper, then dividing it, okay? See what is important and then later point of time read the editorials, read things that I have analyzed, and that will make your task of reading the editorials and anything else within the newspaper also far more easier, okay? So now let's dive into today's newspaper. The other two doubts I will take at the end of the video, okay? Now at the front, on the front page on the left hand side, there is a report with regards to the Covaxin, okay? It's a facility that Prime Minister Modi also visited in late. The phase 1 results are out, a paper has been published by them. The reason why this vaccine is important is because it is totally India made, okay? The Oxford vaccine is something that is being still designed or created, curated outside by AstraZeneca and Oxford. This is totally by two Indian pharmaceutical companies, right? Bharat Biotech and the ICMR itself is doing it together, right? The phase 1 trials have only been completed, so it makes more sense to conclude and discuss this vaccine once there is more concrete, because see, after phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, it is only in phase 2 and phase 3 when hundreds and thousands of people are actually tested. So it becomes important to discuss then. We have discussed about this vaccine when I had talked about the visit of Prime Minister Modi to vaccine facilities. So if you haven't checked it out, go check that video, okay? A description to that will be within the description box today, okay? Now on the left hand side, the farmer protests are going on. The Supreme Court suggested to make a panel where these discussions can take place, but both the sides, government and the farmers, are stating that this is not going to conclude to anything. Remember, with regards to anti-CEA protests also, the Supreme Court had formulated a panel, but the panel was incapable on either allaying the fears of the protesters or doing anything to change the stand of the government. The impasse is continuing because the government is not willing to listen to the demands of the farmers, and the farmers have also rejected the amendments that the government has proposed on the grounds of them being not formal enough, nothing really concrete. Okay. Apart from that, there is updates of more spectrum being sold by the government. Nothing there. It's a executive function that happens with regards to telecom industry. No real update here. Okay. Then on the national front, again, capital Delhi or other states, nothing really concrete. No real concrete policy updates for you all here. Okay. So we'll move on to the editorial page. Okay. On the editorial page, there are two editorials. The main editorial is with regards to a statement that was made in the Supreme Court recently. Okay, Justice A.M. Khanwilkar stated that Supreme Court is not for Central Vista inauguration. We thought we were dealing with a prudent litigant and deference will be shown. We have shown deference to you and expect that you will act in a prudent manner. Now the same deference should be shown to the court and there should be no demolition or construction. Now this entire editorial is on this premise that why would a Supreme Court state that they have shown deference to the executive. The idea of Supreme Court as a body of constitutional safeguard, or the body which safeguards the constitution, or the conscience keeper of the constitution, is that it acts as a check and balance on the executive. Okay, and so this editorial says that how if judiciary, the top court of the country, is showing deference to the executive, then it defeats the entire purpose of Supreme Court in general. Okay, and the editorial draws a contrast between the US situation currently, where the current president, the outgoing president Donald Trump, had been going on about voting frauds, but the Supreme Court of US rejected it, rejected his claims, rejected the petition on day one, stating that there is nothing concrete about them. And even though most of the justices in Supreme Court have been appointed by the Republican White House, they have not shown any such deference. So this entire editorial is stating that how judges are judges of the Supreme Court of India and not of the government that is there in the country. Okay, most post-emergency, the Supreme Court had been the one which checked as a check and balance on the executive. The editorial stating that that function is being reduced. Now you can give it a read to understand different implications of check and balances, but this is a critique of a general situation of the Supreme Court, nothing really concrete on policy or law level. Okay, on the left hand side is excellence in diversity, equal opportunity and universal education can make affirmative action meaningful. Now see, this entire editorial is with regards to the news that we had discussed yesterday, where the panel of IIT directors have suggested to give away reservation from faculty appointments of certain category because there is less takers, and it has appraised the suggestions that the panel had made with regards to how to increase uptake of more genuine faculties in reserved categories. Okay, so that is it. You can give it a read to update yourself with again about the issue that we had discussed yesterday. See, this is a proposal and not a concrete decision that has been taken by the government. Okay, so yeah, that is why we had not talked about it in depth. You can give it a read, but there is nothing concrete about it as of now. On the left hand side, again, discouraging numbers. The two data points that we have been talking from the National Family Health Survey, number 5, and how we had been analyzing that most of the states have digressed. Okay, and the editorial state that see, other big states data is still absent. Rajasthan, Punjab, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, big states, big geographical states with big population, their data is not yet out. And also how this data also predates the COVID-19 pandemic. So it is a very discouraging sign, and a lot needs to be done on the hunger level. Okay, so this is the appraisal of that entire situation, nothing more concrete here. Okay, for us. Now the second editorial is something that we had done as a discussion on December 1. Okay, with regards to RTI and right to privacy. Okay, again, from this, the entire thing that matters to us is still this, that if a public functionary or something is of public interest, then in RTIs that has to be disclosed. And secondly, the Justice Puttaswamy judgment of 2017, which was a 9-judge bench that declared fundamental right as right to privacy as a fundamental right. Okay, so nothing really new here. It's just different authors debating and discussing the opinions of each other. They have written this editorial in response to that editorial. Okay, so nothing really new here apart from a different point of views. Okay, it relates to the RTI Act. Go back and check the December 1 video where we have talked about the different sections that really matter to you. Okay, I am not going to repeat them here all over again. Okay, now on the OPED page, okay, on the left hand side, it's to the many challenges for WTO. The next Director General of the organization will have to, so this will be the first time that the Director General of WTO, World Trade Organization, will be a woman. The appointment has not yet been confirmed. Voting is still going on. Okay, it could be from Nigeria or South Korea. Okay, now this is Additional Secretary from Ministry of External Affairs, Mr. Dammu Ravi. He is a bureaucrat of the government. He is rating down the challenges that face WTO in general. Okay, how appointments have been stalled in WTO by the US, and there is difference of opinion in WTO reforms. So all of that is being discussed. Nothing concrete. What matters more for us is when decisions have actually been taken. Once the appointment is there, I will take you to all these discussions which are happening, okay, or with regards to these challenges, because see, that is when we can have a roadmap of how the Director General wants to uptake those challenges. Okay, on the left hand side, a million reasons to march. The farmer protest is now a battle not just for peasantry but for justice and dignity. It is an analysis of the reason why the farmers feel aggrieved is because they have been belittled. Despite being a large stakeholder, the government did not feel it correct to discuss or debate or deliberate with them. Okay, and the fact that the government did not even let them meet the representatives, the police did not let the farmers reach Delhi to talk about it and has stopped them at the borders of Delhi, is also something that this editorial states, that the reason why people protest is not because they are, sometimes people are okay with them not being heard or working in poor conditions, but they revolt or agitate when their justice and dignity is actually threatened or questioned. Okay, so this is a general read, nothing specific concrete for us again here. Okay, then the long road to food security. Despite being self-sufficient, production, India hunger level are alarming. So again, drawing from the National Family Health Survey, how hunger, child stunting, malnutrition is still rampant in most of the children's, and this is despite the number of buffer stock of food grains under Food Corporation of India being 2.5 times of what they should be. Okay, so this is what this scheme is all about. It is stating that how the Annapurna scheme and the MSP and different food grains and pulses that need to be put in under the MSP bracket to reduce hunger, and steps need to be taken there. Okay, again, it has drawn from the National Family Health Survey only, which we had discussed 2 days ago. So if you do not remember, or if you are watching the series for the first time, go watch December 15th episode. Okay, then the Parliament will not have a winter session, and it is shown that it is covering Parliament closed for winter. Okay, again, this data point today is talking about things that were searched most in 2020. Okay, and different months had different news. It's just not relevant for us. Okay, now again, on the national front, there is not much news again for us here. On the international front, okay, you know that Foreign Secretary of Britain is on a tour for India. Yesterday we had discussed the news about Boris Johnson being the chief guest. So there is just an update that how Foreign Secretary of Britain is stating that the reason why the farmer protest is also a matter of Britain's politics, because there is a large scale diaspora of Indians who live in Britain, and thus it matters to the British government also to engage or know that the protests remain peaceful and their voices are heard. Okay, it's general because a lot of children of the people who are affected by the farmers protest also reside, or people of the related community reside in different parts of the globes across globe, in different countries, in different Indian communities, in Scotland, New Jersey, and London itself. Different protests have taken place. So it is in recognition that the reason why international governments are talking about it is because the diaspora of India is very significant. Last year's data states that Indians are the largest diaspora across the globe. Okay, so that means that politics in India affects the emotions of people who live outside, and that indirectly affects the governments where these people are residing. Okay, now on there is update with regards to the human development index, that we'll be understanding a new matrix has been added to the human development index, and we'll be discussing that for us. Okay, there is vaccine hesitancy, news about vaccines differently. Okay, then there is an update from the parliamentary standing committee on defense. Okay, so yesterday the meeting was taking place, and the Congress staged a walkout. The reason for the walkout was stated that opposition members were not allowed to speak, and the opinion of the opposition was that rather than discussing what should be the nature of uniform and why the army, navy and air force should have same uniforms for them, the opposition asked that we need to discuss more steps. Politicians have no right to decide upon how armed forces want to be seen or what uniform they should wear. Okay, so this is significant in the sense of what is being discussed in standing committees is generally to be kept not disclosed until it is tabled before the parliament. But because of this uproar, that the idea of standing committee, something we had discussed a couple of days ago, when there was an editorial about standing committees, is they should be bipartisan and things of national interest should be discussed there. Okay, so that is why an update for you here. The chairman of the parliamentary standing committee on defense is a member of parliament from the Bharatiya Janata Party, whose name is Jewel Oram. Okay, and he is a member of parliament from the state of Odisha. So that is an update that you should keep in mind because the thing is in news now. Okay, now on the sporting front, again, there international front, the there is finally admission on by the US Republican Party that after the electoral college has voted that a Democratic elect Joe Biden will be the new president of United States. Till now the Republican Party had not recognized this, yet the incumbent president has still declined to concede that he has lost and that he'll be out of office. Okay, there is yesterday was the victory celebration day, the Bangladesh Liberation War event, and Prime Minister of Bangladesh was speaking on behalf of her country, and where she stated that Bangladesh is a secular country. The liberation war was won for all Bangladeshis and not just Islam. She is trying to prevent radical Islamic political parties from taking a center stage in Bangladesh. Okay. On the economic front, there is one news of US putting India on currency manipulator list. This again we'll be discussing today. And on the sporting front, there is hosting rights have been awarded to 2 new countries for the Asian Games. We'll be discussing that also. Okay. Moving on to the in-depth analysis. The first news is with regards to hosting rights for the Asian Games. Okay, the Asian Games are also held after every 4 years. Okay, they are also known as Asiad. The motto of Asian Games is ever onward. They are organized and managed by Asian Games Federation and the Olympic Council of Asia, okay, where the voting did take place. The first Asian Games were held in New Delhi in India. Our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had been the one to promote Asian unity and had suggested Asian Games as a methodology or tool to do the same. Okay, the last Asian Games were held in 2018 in Jakarta, Indonesia, and the next will take place in China in the city of Hangzhou. Okay, and then we need to discuss who have been given the new hosting rights. Okay, so in 2026 it will be Aichi Nagoya in Japan. Okay, then in 2030, this is what was voted yesterday. In 2030, it will be in Doha, Qatar. Qatar will also host in 2022 the FIFA World Cup, okay? And in 2034, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, okay? So these two countries are the new places where Asian Games will be held, okay? Now moving on to the next news, which is yesterday's doubt that a lot of students had with regards to sanctions, okay? So there are two levels of sanctions. But before we begin about clarifying what these sanctions are, a doubt some students has is, how can US impose sanctions and why do other countries accept that? See, this is a methodology of US to impose, it's a US internal affair on countries on whom they do not want to trade with or how they want to impose sanctions, okay? So the act that we had discussed yesterday, which was CASTA, Countering America's Adversary Through Sanctions Act, okay? So that is an American law. The reason why these sanctions, that if US announces sanctions becomes important, is because, see, look around your room and the mobile phones or technology through which you are accessing this series or in general, okay? And see how much investment in that is from American companies, okay? That will tell you why these sanctions become important, okay? Because the US economy is the largest in the world. Their military might is the largest in the world. If US imposes sanctions, then that is a significant step, okay? And it matters to that country, because if you're not trading with US, or if US investment is not flowing into your country, then it significantly hampers your economy, which has happened to Iran, right? Ever since sanctions were reimposed by Donald Trump, or sanctions have been imposed on North Korea, look at the economies of these two countries. They have fallen. This is what signifies when US imposes sanctions, okay? So US has imposed that act on Turkey. Turkey has responded today by stating that how can you impose sanctions on your own alliance partner. One side you say that you are our ally and that a war on us is a war on you, and yet you impose sanctions on us because we exercised a sovereign right. And they have allayed that even if they are purchasing Russian missiles, the NATO and US facilities will not get compromised. It's a diplomatic thing. The reason why we need to discuss this, or had discussed this yesterday, is because India has also purchased the S-400 Triumph anti-missile system, okay? So the main news for you all was the S-400 missile system and not the US sanctions, because see, in examination it will not be asked on how many countries US has imposed sanctions, okay? That would not be a correct question in general also, because that doesn't really matter. But it matters because it relates to India. Nevertheless, I'm clarifying, sanctions that have been imposed under the CAATSA are under section 231. It affects the Turkey's main defense procurement agency, SSB, okay, the Presidency of Defense Procurement, okay. Now, the US Congress bill which Donald Trump does not want to pass is similar to, for example, whenever a budget is passed in government by the government, then it is also sent to the president for ratification. He cannot send it back. A money bill cannot be sent back by the president, okay. Now here is a question for you all. Under what article is the money bill defined in the Indian Constitution, okay? In the comment section, I want to know the article number under which a money bill is governed by the Indian Constitution, okay? Now the US Congress bill, US Congress also has its annual budget which is passed in January, okay? Now this is the bill that they have passed, National Defense Authorization Bill NDAA 2021. This is passed by the US Congress. US Congress is controlled by the Democratic Party. They have imposed sanctions under the defense bill also, okay? Not under CAATSA. CAATSA applies naturally, okay, if or you want to impose it. So under that they have applied it, which will ensure that Turkey is not able to access more procurements or procure equipments from US, okay. But this is a separate defense bill, and the US president has stated that he will veto it or not approve it, okay. Whether that happens or not is something to be seen, but what you need to know is what is the name of the act and the S-400 missile system in general, okay, not the number of countries on which US has imposed sanctions. Now moving on, another news with regards to US only. Okay, so the US dollar again is the currency in which world trade happens. Okay, now a country's currency value is also determined vis-a-vis the US dollar, right? That happens based on demand and supply. When countries are artificially manipulating the value of the currency, not let market forces decide, that is when it is known as manipulation. Okay, so the US Treasury also annually determines which countries are manipulating the value of the currency and not letting market forces decide. Okay, so US Treasury for this quarter has put India back on the manipulators monitoring list. Okay, we were there till 2018, removed in 2019, and have been put back in 2020-21. Okay, what is the criteria? Criteria is bilateral trade surplus with the US of US dollars 20 billion. So you need to have a bilateral trade surplus with US. Okay, India ticks this box. Current account surplus of at least 2 to 3%. India does not tick this box. And net purchase of foreign currency of 2% of GDP in 12 months. So RBI has done this step. Okay, because of higher liquidity. When businesses are not, because of COVID-19 pandemic, there was less and less businesses taking place in the world. Okay, so there was, people had spare money because you were not able to spend it because businesses were shut. So when there is too much liquidity, RBI had bought a lot of foreign currency. That is why it is stated that here they have been put on the monitoring list. Now, why do they do that? That is to reduce the liquidity and volatility of the rupee. Okay, if there is too much freedom given to the market, the value of rupee will appreciate, depreciate too much. Okay, that is known as volatility. To reduce that volatility, central banks of different countries either purchase or sell foreign currencies. Okay, now the Indian Central Bank also purchased a lot of liquidity. Now, moving on, what are the countries who are on the monitoring list also becomes important. China, Japan, Korea, Germany, Italy, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, Thailand and India. Okay, 10 countries who are on this list. So that is also something that you need to know, the criteria, and in general it's an update with regards to how currency valuation happens. Okay, so generally it is determined by market forces, flexible foreign currency, but to reduce volatility, central banks intervene in market forces and they purchase currency when there is too much liquidity that can make the currency value volatile. To prevent that, RBI had done so, and from the 3 criterias, India met 2 of these. Okay, so that is it. Now moving on to the last bit, which is the Human Development Index. Okay, who gives out the Human Development Index? It is the United Nations Development Program. Okay, it is again an agency of the UN. The next thing that you need to know, what are the 3 metrics on which HDI is counted? Life expectancy. In general, if you are born in this country, till what age you are expected to be alive. Second is education, the level of education that the general population receives, and per capita income, total GDP size divided by the population. Okay, now a new matrix has been added to the HDI this year. Okay, what is this new matrix? It is per capita carbon emissions. Okay, total carbon emissions of a country divided by its population. So they have adjusted the HDI to see that if a country is maintaining a high human development index, is it doing so by making natural resources suffer, or by not being sustainable in the methodology of development. Okay, so through this, a new adjusted index has been arrived. What is it known as? PHDI, Planetary Pressures Adjusted HDI. Okay, and because of that, the number 1 this year is Ireland. Okay, so this is a new matrix they have discovered. A lot of countries who are on a higher level of HDI, such as Norway, US, Australia, will fall a lot of ranks, 50, 60 ranks they will fall, because the amount of the methodology through which they sustain themselves on high level of development is actually by making having or taking out more natural resources than what is sustainable. Okay, so this is with regards to how every development now needs to be seen or measured vis-a-vis environmental sustainability. Sustainable development has become the core. But in general, India's HDI has fallen further, okay? In 2009, the report right now only determines pre-COVID-19, okay? So this index that we report that we are seeing today or has been given out by UNDP only accounts till 2019 and not COVID. And even then, India's rank has fallen. Our overall HDI score has improved from 0.642 to 0.645, very marginally, yet our total ranking, because other countries are doing far better, okay? Even in our neighborhood, our total ranking has fallen, okay? Bangladesh, Nepal, both of them have improved. India's rank has generally fallen. We are the lowest among the BRIC nations, also far below even Sri Lanka, okay? So we still need to do a lot more for total human rights development, okay? A little bit of history. The index has been introduced since 1990 by Mehbul ul Haq and Amartya Sen, okay? It was to put people at the center of the development debate. That is when the HDI idea was created, okay? So the new matrix becomes really important, even more important than who comes first or what HDI is, okay? The new matrix, and it is known as PHDI, Planetary Pressures Adjusted HDI, which is measured on per capita carbon emissions. So the less your carbon emissions in general and more your renewable energy reliance or being more sustainable with regards to your development, the higher will be your rank. India will jump 8 positions because of this, okay? So thank you so much for, before I forget, the new, with regards to agro versus agri, okay? So in yesterday's editorial, these were the two words that were used, and then it was stated agro input and agri input, okay? What does these two mean, okay? When you say agri input, then you are talking about industries that use agricultural products as inputs, okay? Inputs in the sense things that you use. So when you are in a business of yarn, so you are using cotton as an input, right? Or for example, when you are in a production of wool yarn, so then you are using or when you are using jute bags, okay? So then you are producing jute as an input. So that industries that use agricultural commodity as an input or a tool for their overall production, right? For example, sugarcane for sugar mills, those are agri input industries, okay? Where look at any general industry and look at, for example, what kind of input they are using, okay? So when agricultural products are an input of a business, then it is known as agri input. What is agro businesses or agro input business, okay? Agro input or agro businesses are those businesses which are based on agricultural activity. So the editorial in general, or using for example when you move towards horticulture, or you move towards beekeeping or milk or poultry, then these are agro based industries, okay? The things that you will use for these industries are, or in general horticulture, it's direct using agricultural product as a product, right? Rather than selling wheat, which will, you have to do a lot of work, you plant trees of fruits and then sell it. So that is a different kind of commodity, but is based in agriculture. So when such industries are talked about, when the overall agricultural economy is looked at in a different prism, when you are indulging in industries or work which uses different methodology of agriculture, agricultural product is the real product, okay? When you are in agri input, cotton is not your real product, yarn or making cloths is, right? But there you are using an agricultural commodity as an input, okay? So if for this jacket cotton has been used, okay? But for example, if I am selling pineapples or if I am selling kiwis, I will get higher prices, but my product is still an agricultural product. When I'm indulging in milk or poultry or beekeeping, okay, so those are agricultural economy based, they will still be classified as primary economics, okay, primary sector jobs, but yet they will be called as agro based, okay, because they are primary. So when you are primary sector jobs, okay, but they are paying higher value. Okay, agricultural based jobs, jobs in the primary sector but of higher value than, for example, the comparison was wheat and rice production, right? So when you're indulging in agricultural based jobs but are of higher payment or higher value, then you are in agro based industries, okay? So that is it for the doubt yesterday. If you have ever any other doubts that you want assistance with, feel free to put it in the comment section. I will be very happy to address them. Thank you so much for watching. Keep revising, stay safe, don't get sick during the changing weather, take care of yourself and be consistent with regards to your preparation. Thank you so much.